My rose. How you
I'm
doing?
great. How are you? Hey.
I'm fabulous, thank you. What you up to today, dear?
Prepping for the 12 days of Christmas. I didn't realize it took some work to put things like this together.
That's funny.
Virtually,
That's really funny. And this is gonna be so easy. Let's do a couple things on Zoom. Oh my god, I've got to plan everything. Yeah, I totally understand where that's coming from.
Yeah. And it's 12 days, not just one. 12.
12 days. Yeah, because that's a bit. That's great. By the way, when am I supposed to go on that thing?
I have to find out which category to place you under.
Well,
Will that be
clearly.
under investor?
Wherever you want me to be. Yeah, I'm an impact investor, so that's where you want me. Put me there, darling.
Okay, so I'll give you the dates on those 2 days. It's like the third and the fourth and the third last of the day, whichever day. I'm gonna figure it out. I think it's the 20th and the 21st. Yeah, the 20th and the 21st.
Okay, that's still gonna be fun. We'll have it up there, and you'll tell me what you want me to talk about, which is going to be great. So, hello, Colleen. How are you, my dear? I haven't seen you in a minute. You need to get up here and talk to us. So, Colleen is one of actually my students that took my Homes with Heart course, and she's fabulous. I adore her. Can't wait to hear what she's up to, what she's working on. Right now, we are streaming on Facebook and on YouTube, as well as here on Clubhouse. And I'm also doing this on Zoom. So if you guys are wanting to come and actually see our what I'm actually working on and actually look at the slides, you are more than welcome to come. I should probably put that here, right? I should probably put that link, be helpful. Put it here in the chat, huh? That would make sense. So let's see.
Oh, someone asked what's the 12 days of Christmas. I'll explain it instead of texting it. So
go for it.
The 12 days of Christmas, I'm gathering up all the experts on this app that have been contributing to you guys. You guys been loyal by following every one of us for almost 2 years now on this app. And what I've realized when I talk to clients is that, they get the concept by listening, but a lot of you guys will understand it better if you guys see it visually. I'm a visual learner. I'm a kinesthetic learner. I like to be hands-on. And so with the 12 days of Christmas, it's going to allow the experts to present to you guys what they do by presentation. So we'll have a Zoom link for you guys to hop on. We'll also be on Clubhouse. And the 12 days are going to be divided into 6 days. It's going to be the journey of each of you, because every one of you are on different paths to wealth building. So it's going to start off with the unemployed. So those of you guys that are unemployed or looking to transition to another job, we're going to have experts that's going to teach you how to write a winning resume, how to negotiate your salary, how to find your perfect career, and things like that. The third and fourth day is going to be for employed. So it's about getting your budget together, getting your credit together, how to purchase your first home or sell your first home. And then the next quadrant is for the self-employed, those that are looking for business ideas, what to do, how to form your skill set and turn that into a business and things like that. The other category is business owners. So those of you that already has a business but wants to work on your business instead of in your business, how to build a winning team. Hey, I might need you on that one because you're good at that. How to build a winning team, how to hire, putting systems and putting systems in place and things like that. Whatever it is that you need, business credit, we're going to be talking about that. And then the next one is for investors, not only real estate, but also forex.
Hello, guys. So we are streaming on 3 different platforms right now, or 3 different devices. So if you don't see me, make sure you check a different platform, because I'm on Clubhouse, I'm on YouTube, on my computer, and here. So if you have any questions, let me know.
How to be a lender.
But we're going to be getting this going in just a second.
Business, once you become an investor and make more money, babies, now you want to, then you can lend. So you can then gain compound interest from the money that you invest in. So those are the things. So we're going to open up those things and kind of put things in order for you, because I know there's so much gems dropped on this app and outside the app and things like that. But it's like, how do we put this all together? So putting it all together in those quadrants helps you identify where you're at and then how you can level up from that step. So the 12 days of Christmas is our gift to you, from us to you, in those 12 days. So that's what it's all about.
Can't wait to learn more about that, Rose. And thank you. By the way, Rose is actually on my board. She's now joined us. She's going to be helping us with our
recording in progress.
Okay, good. She's going to be helping us with our with some of our credit counseling we're going to be doing. And speaking of credit counseling, we also have the incomparable Ms. Mignon. Hello, my dear. How are you? Say hello.
Hi, Jacob. How are you? Hello,
I am
everyone.
great. You're on both Zoom and this, aren't you? I saw you a second ago.
No, I clicked out of the
Zoom. Okay, well, we're glad to have you. Tell everybody who you are, what you do, and why I love you.
Well, I'm Mia Lee. I am a business consultant out of Atlanta, Georgia. Own a few companies, 5 to be exact. I do government contracting. I assist other small-based businesses in making sure they're structured properly and everything to do business with the government. So that's what I do.
Which is the perfect topic for our conversation today. So our topic today is how to fund your movement, or how to think like the government to get funding for your social housing initiative. So what we're going to do real quick, if you're following along on Zoom, you'll be able to see my slides directly. If you're following on social media, you'll be able to see our slides as I go. If you have questions, please go ahead and fill into the chat. I'm going to do my presentation as it goes. I'm going to be calling on these lovely ladies for their insight as we go forward. If you've got questions, please let me know. I am very engaged with the chats, so please stay engaged with when I have polls or questions. I want to hear what you guys have to say, and ask questions. Raise your hand, come up and talk with me. I want to help you guys, because remember, we cannot get this movement off the ground if all this information stays here in our heads. We need to share it. We got to let people know what's going on here, and we have to address these systemic issues. So if you'd be so kind, if you are on Clubhouse, go ahead and share this message. Post it, please. Share this so you can actually see what we're doing. There are real powerful nuggets we're going to be talking about today, so you guys can actually use them in your social housing initiatives, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and get started. Mignon, can I get started, do you think?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, you ready for this, Rose? You got this for me? Yeah. Fabulous. All right. So let's talk about financing your movement for the basics, okay? Now, true or false? I want everyone in the chat to tell me, when do you make your money when you're investing? When do you make your money when you're investing? You guys hear it all the time, wondering what you would say. See thy wealth. You're right. It's when you buy, the purchase. Yes, you make your money when you buy. How you buy the property matters. Now, the better you enter a property, the more options you have to exit. And deals are not made or are not found, they are made. So this is what I mean by this. Everyone's talking about interest rates rising right now, and that what they were doing before isn't working. They can't do the whole, the Burr method is harder to get through because your interest rates are eating up your financing. I think this is hysterical, by the way, because it was only the past few years that money became cheap. It's like, were you guys awake in 2014? Were you awake in like 2002? Like, interest rates are usually at this point, so people are freaking out as I'm cracking up. But that means you have to be smarter with how you're buying a property and what you're doing with a property, okay? So this part of our conversation is very much about the real estate side of it. So if your expenses are increasing because of cash, because interest rates are increasing, what is it you have to do to make the same returns? What do you guys have to do? Put in the chat, speak up. I don't mind. Give me some feedback. What do you think you have to do to make the money to compensate for the interest rates increasing? What do you guys have to do? Pop quiz. And if you're on Zoom, like I've got my lovely friends here, I'm actually going to call you in a second. Let's get Chris. How are you, Chris? Surprise. Chris Ruskas.
I'm doing well. How are you guys?
I'm glad to meet you. Thank you for being adaptable.
Yeah, I would say increase rents.
Increase rents. Okay, that's one way of doing it. Very good. What else? We have better research and due diligence. Thank you, See That Wealth. Buy lower with Kshanti Mike. Oh, very good. So let's talk about these things. So we're going to start by increasing rents. We're going to come back. Actually, we're going to come back to that, Chris. So I'm so sorry if I'm butchering your name, but Katsani, Kshanti. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, but your name is really very pretty looking at. But anyway, buy lower. Yes, but in this market, how do you buy lower? You are right. But in this market, it's not so easy to buy low, is it right now? Right? So let's talk about why it's hard to buy lower right now. And the secret goes back to your interest rates increasing. Okay. Now, what does it mean when the interest rates increase? Oh, this is going to be fun. Rose, are you there? I'm going to bring you in on this.
Yeah.
Okay. So what is interest?
Oh, I can say it in many words.
Of course you can.
Can I say it in a worse way?
Yes, you may.
No, it's not a penalty. Interest is pretty much just the interest charge of borrowing the money. It's just a fee of borrowing the money that you're being charged monthly. Correct. And so the way I look at it is it's a spread, right? It's a spread between the Federal Reserve, ultimately to the consumer, and there are multiple people between that actually they charge their service on top of it and creates a spread. So interest is really the cost of borrowing money. Okay. Now, on that same note, Rose, what is inflation? The other I word we are hearing about all the time right now. What is inflation? Ooh, inflation is the way it sounds. It's just inflated pricing, being overcharged for products and services. You're not wrong. Okay. You're not wrong. You're right. I'm wanting to get something even deeper than that. Mignon, what do you think inflation is? How would you describe inflation? No, a good word. Too many dollars in circulation. See that? Well, I love you. You're good. I wanted to know more about you. What is inflation? Mignon, are you there?
Yeah, I was in and out. I'm sorry.
You're okay, dear.
My definition of inflation, let's see.
Pop quiz.
I think, yeah, pop quiz. I would say it's a pricing adjustment, depending on like what's going on as far as your markets are concerned. The market could be anything. So inflation usually takes place when the cost of goods and services have been affected, like with whatever is going on. So for instance, with the housing market, something that would have cost say $100,000 net to be built, now the price of the labor versus the price have gone up, and so now the cost overall of what the item would be, it goes up also to compensate between the two.
So that is correct. I'm going to make it a little simpler. So I want you guys to write this down because you are all right. All these are right, but I want to take it even deeper because there's something I want you guys to understand. When we are talking about investing, impact investing, you have to also understand you're talking about addressing systemic issues. Now, that could be inequality, that could be lack of diversity, there could be so many things we're addressing. But what we're going to talk right now is financial inequality. Inflation is a hidden tax on citizens. Write that down. Inflation is a hidden tax on citizens. Inflation, in other words, is the erosion of your purchasing power. I'll say that one more time. Inflation is the erosion of your purchasing power. Now, what does that mean? Well, I just read a study, and it's actually on my Instagram. I made a reel about it, about the power of money and what money really is. It's an idea, right? But it's something that we all feel we cannot directly influence, right? And we see this all the time when we think about going back to hamburgers, right? If you were to think about how much, you guys remember what the dollar menu was actually $1 at McDonald's, right? And before that, not that long ago in the 70s, it was like 5 cents for a hamburger. But now that same burger, which is the same product, because McDonald's is consistent, we know that, that same nickel or 25-cent burger is actually now worth $200 and what, $2 and what now, right? It has had over a 400% increase. And we are used to that because we are used to hearing things like, oh, it's just the cost of living going up. Oh, it's inflation. Oh, no. That is the same dollar that you were getting paid in your paycheck, and it's not able to buy as much as you were buying before. Now we look at it as less because it's something like the dollar menu at McDonald's. But when you add some zeros on that, it becomes a problem. In fact, because of inflation, if you bought a house in 1973 for $100,000, that same home now would be worth $750,000. Again, you can check that out on my Instagram. I made a reel about it. It's but is the home any better? No. In fact, the plumbing is now 40 years older. And I don't know anything about you, but my plumbing is not as good as it was 40 years ago. Anyone else? Anyone? Clearly, okay. Apparently, no one else is the mother. Anyway, so things had to be replaced. Things had to be improved upon. Building codes have changed as well. So there are some quality materials that are better, some are worse. But that $100,000 home now being worth almost $750,000, that is not because that home went up in value. It is partially because the value of your dollar has gone down so much that you need more of them to buy that same home. Is this making sense to you guys? Yeah. So we want to make sure you guys are constantly being aware that your purchasing power is being eroded due to things like inflation and an interest. So when you're making money in the buy, when you're trying to buy a property for cheaper, you have to realize that you're not necessarily able to buy things cheaper, but you need to buy so that you are able to preserve your purchasing power. Does that make sense? Real estate is powerful because it is it's a vault. It's an asset class. You can actually buy real estate and it will be something that grows with the market because it stayed in the market. Real estate as an asset class actually keeps your purchasing power solid. Why is that? Well, if we go back to the housing example we just used, where the home was once $100,000 in 1973, now it's worth $750,000. Did that buyer suffer because the value of their home went up so significantly? No, their net worth went up because they took their money from being paper or cash in their savings account and they put it into an actual asset that is monetized by the government. I'm going to say that one more time. Real estate is a powerful asset class because it is monetized and leveraged by the government. Anything that has the word market on the end of it is typically monetized by the government, hence the name of our talk today. The real estate market, the stock market, the commodities market, these are markets. They are leveraged, they've got options, they've got traders, they've got brokers, they've got licensing. These are things that the government then uses to get loans from the Federal Reserve. Are you guys following me so far? Is this making sense? Yeah? No? Anyone? Thank you, See Thy Wealth. Good. Chris, you following me so far? Chris, Kyle, you guys following me? Yeah? Okay. No? Yes? I'll just keep talking to myself. See Thy Wealth and Mignon are here for me, so we're going to keep going for it. It's good times. So you want to make sure that when you're thinking, okay, I'm buying this home, don't just think, okay, I've got to buy it cheap, right? Thank you, Vonda. You don't want to just buy it cheap. You want to buy it to preserve your purchasing power long term, okay? Now, the strategies that I use in real estate, when I'm talking about social housing, I use mostly hold strategies when I actually get people into those homes. But we want to still buy them correctly, but we want to buy them with the right mindset. So it doesn't necessarily mean buying them cheap. It does mean buying them correctly, okay? Now, correctly is going to be determined on the resources available to you. In other words, what loans are available to you? What does your portfolio look like at that point in time? It's different if you're just getting started or you're 10 years in the business with 40 homes, right? It's a different portfolio. Where are you in your life? Can you use your retirement account? Or are you just creating a savings account for the first time? How you buy a property is going to be based on your situation. And all too often we are told, oh, this is how you do it. You're supposed to buy this property at this discount because it's going to create this NOI, blah, 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 blah. You know what? Let me be very clear. I am real sick of rich white men telling me how to make money because they've forgotten how long ago it was when they actually had to grow it themselves, if they had to grow it themselves, instead of just inheriting it from mommy and daddy. I get real sick of it. So for those of you who don't know, I was a homeless youth, okay? I was 16 when my parents kicked me out for being gay, and I have battled housing insecurity for most of my adult life. Even as educated as I am, even as much as I know about real estate, and I know a ton about real estate, and as good as as an investor that I am, I will tell you, one of the things that people are missing is you cannot say, this is how you do something correctly. You cannot. You have to take a look at where you are and what's available to you, and then make the best out of that. Okay? You have to make the best out of it. Everyone's going to start someplace different, but the goal is the same, right? The goal is to create wealth and value for yourself and your family that actually creates a legacy and stability. And in our tribe, revolution. We want to create revolution. So the second part of that question is, and Chris mentioned this, how do we offset the cost of interest going up? Well, Chris, you said increase the rents, correct? Yes.
Yep, that's correct. Yeah.
Awesome. So Chris, tell me, you're looking at getting started in social housing, right?
Correct.
And what type of population are you trying to serve?
I want to kind of do a mix of veterans / kids aging out of foster care. That's kind of where my heartstrings are at.
Okay. So we're going to talk another time about defining your, identifying your mission, because that's going to be very different. The needs of a veteran are very different than an aged out foster youth. Very different. And there's going to be a huge learning curve no matter who you are and where you get started. Huge learning curve. Does not matter. Even if you were a veteran or you were a foster youth. I was a homeless youth, right? So I was homeless 20 years ago at 16. So the kids that I was helping when I started my foundation had a very different experience. You know, they had iPhones. I did not, right? So things are very different. So it's going to be a very big learning curve. So I want you to focus on one of them right now for today's example. So tell me, do you want to focus on veterans or do you want to focus on foster youth?
We can do veterans.
Veterans, got it. All right, so if you are dealing with veterans and you want to raise their rent, okay, so you want to let's work backwards here because everyone needs to think about this. You're buying a property, you want to be able to support that house by helping veterans acquire housing. How are you going to do that? So let's think first. The veterans living in your home are going to be what? Are they going to be older or younger? Let's start with that.
Older.
Older, okay. Are they going to have health issues?
A lot of times, yes.
A lot of times, absolutely. And what are those issues keeping them from working oftentimes or not?
Yes.
Keeping them from working, okay. So now we have older veterans that are going to be on disability, right? Because they're veterans, keeping them from working.
Yep.
And when they're on disability, what does that mean? That means they have a what type of income?
Fixed income.
A fixed income, great. So if you're going to house individuals in your home and you have to increase rents to offset the cost of your costs of acquisition, how are you going to increase the rents and still serve those veterans?
I'm going to increase the occupancy.
You're going to increase the occupancy. That's definitely one way to do it. Now, what type of programs are you able to utilize to help them with their housing?
That's why I'm here. I don't know.
That's fair. That's very fair. So there are a couple things you can do. Yes, you can either increase occupancy, which we hear of, which we talk about in shared housing, but you also need to know what your city is telling you they're willing to do for those veterans. And it's different in every city. Every city has it differently, guys. So if you are doing say if you're in Virginia, they've got, well, the HUD-VASH program is fabulous. Everyone needs to know about the HUD-VASH program, but they only pay up to market rent. And now it doesn't even cover that, right? But some cities only let you do HUD-VASH if you do individual occupancy bedrooms. So if that's going to be the case, how can you do a shared bedroom model? Things you need to know about, right? Exactly. So that's why you need to look, or you have to do private pay and not do the HUD-VASH program. These are all options. You can maneuver however you want, but you need to know. This is why I tell people, yes, you make your money in the buy, but just as important as knowing how to buy the property, you need to understand how your exit is going to influence how you buy the property. Am I making sense, guys? Chris? Yeah?
Yep, 100%.
Mignon, my dear. Now, for those of you who don't know Mignon, I adore her. She does so much work with HUD, and she actually she's fantastic what she does. Oh my gosh. So Mignon, tell us, do you know much about these housing programs like HUD-VASH or FYI or different voucher programs? Where can they find that information so that they can reverse engineer who they're trying to serve?
Okay, I'm sorry. I have a lot of noise in the background. My dog is going crazy for someone outside.
Poor boo-boo.
But yes, like, so the vouchers all come from HUD. And so you can go to HUD's website. Hold on a second.
I gotcha. So HUD is the Housing and Urban Development. It's where all the money that when the government actually says, okay, they want to promote initiatives right now. Like right now, it's the House America Initiative is the general term that launched in 2021 last year. The House America Initiative had money printed out of nothing, hence why we have such high inflation. Anyway, but the money was printed out of nothing and then allocated to social programs. So when you are looking to acquire any asset, whether that is stocks, real estate, insurance products, doesn't matter, you want to look and see what the government is doing for those assets. Okay, and what I mean by that is, now that you know that the House America Initiative is a priority for the government, that means they have set money aside to address housing in the United States. And for the very first time, it is actually a federal initiative to address homelessness in our society. That's impressive. That is impressive. They printed $5 billion at the federal level to address housing insecurity across the country. On top of that, other states also printed more. California did over $24 billion to address their homelessness issue. And all of these funds have to be deployed by the end of 2026. It was supposed to be into 2024, or 2023, but they extended it to 2026. You know why, guys? Not enough citizens are stepping up to take the money. I'll say that one more time. Let me let that ring in your head for a second. Okay? Not enough citizens are stepping up to take the money. Now, what does that mean? One, it means that it's being horribly marketed. No one knows about the House America Initiative, for one. No one knows about it because they don't want to have those hard conversations. But because they're not being vocal about this opportunity, landlords and investors aren't being made aware of the opportunities presented to them about these pots of money out there to actually help your community. So let's walk through how this looks. The government says, hey, we want to address homelessness. And it goes, all right, cool. Well, we're going to go to the Fed and we're going to get a loan. The government's going to borrow money. You guys have heard this, yes? Guess what? The government's just a business. So it borrows money from a bank too. So it borrows money from the Fed. And now it goes, here's our initiatives, and we are going to give it to the states to implement this money. So it goes from the federal to the state level. Now the states go, all right, we're going to help address homelessness for foster youth or for veterans or for battered women, survivors of human trafficking, whomever they're trying to help. And they're going to take that money, they're going to divvy it up around their initiatives for their certain populations that they're trying to serve. So now the state takes it, it divvies it up, and it starts sending it out to the counties and the cities, helping them fund their initiatives by getting boots in the ground. Now at this point, we know them as grants. They're often called community block grants or housing vouchers or different initiatives that are out there, but they are out there for the grassroots investors and citizens to acquire and improve their communities. Now, there's some really cool things that happen at this point. So take notes here, guys. Are you enjoying this so far? Is this making sense? Okay. So for some of you who are, who have been listening for a little bit, I want you to, you've heard that, thank you. Oh, Kinoya, what a pretty name. All right, thank you, Delvin and Vonda, and See Thy Wealth. Thank you guys for participating. I appreciate that. So here's an example of a program. The housing vouchers are incredibly valuable. During COVID, the government released emergency housing vouchers to actually offset the flood of homelessness that they were seeing and to help individuals get emergency rental assistance and so on and so forth. But Mignon, when you're back, let me know. But they're
I'm here.
fabulous. Mignon, we know about Section 8, correct?
Yes. Mhm.
In 2 or 3 words, tell us what Section 8 is, and I got somewhere I'm going with this. What is Section 8?
Section 8 is just another voucher program put in place by HUD, but in the most known one, but it's not the only one. It's just a subsidized voucher that pays out 70% of your overall household income, and you're responsible for 30%. But that's the formula that HUD uses across all of their voucher programs that aren't really told or known to the public. Most people only know about Section 8, but there are many others.
They don't know about HUD VASH, they don't know about FYI, they don't know about the emergency housing vouchers.
Right.
There's so many more out there. This is the cool thing. Now listen up, guys. Mignon. So we know that Section 8 does help with rental assistance, right? They subsidize rent. Do they do anything else with Section 8 that people don't know about?
Yes, they will help you purchase a home.
Oh, wait a minute. Did you say Section 8 will help you purchase a home?
Absolutely.
Oh my God. You mean that program that we all have this stigma about, that we think is so dirty and cheesy and those people must be the scum of the earth? That program actually is there to help people buy houses as well?
Yes, it is.
Oh my God.
They will continue the subsidy, except, you're not paying a rental rate, you'll be paying your mortgage.
Oh, wow. And speaking of mortgages, now these homes may not be in the best condition. Is there any type of funding in Section 8 to help them repair their home or even remodel their home?
Yes, but not technically. As far as Section 8, but yes, they have the down payment assistance, and if you choose to have the property built, you can. The minimum
you can have the property built. Oh my! What's the minimum?
Right. You have to do make at least $25,000 for across a 2-year span, 24 months, and then they will assist you with purchasing a home.
Now let's put that into perspective. My sister has Down syndrome. This has a point. I want you guys to realize this. The reason why I wanted to get into this type of housing is because there is a need in my family, right? My parents they don't listen to me, and they're going to die one day, and I'm going to have a sister who's going to need professional care. She's not high functioning. So I was trying to find a solution to where I would feel adequate helping my sister. She is significantly younger than me, but that means I won't be around forever either for her. So having my sister growing up, watching my sister grow up has been very illuminating for me. Now, what Mignon just said, you said 24,000 or 25,000, Mignon? 25,000. Now, this is what's interesting, guys. Did you know that in order for my sister to get any type of Medicaid and medical assistance, she's not able to make more than $12,000 a year? Put that in perspective. That is where we have a problem with some of these social programs, because people are stuck when they get there. Now, there are ways around that, yes. But however, can you do anything on $12,000 a year? That is $1,000 a month. Can you guys live off of that? Huh, I certainly can't. So if we know that's the issue, how are they supposed to get housing? right? How are they supposed to get more assistance? However, if they are able to prove over 2 years that they can take 25, that they made 25,000, which means $500 more a year, which would be a pain because they would actually lose Medicaid. I'm not going to go there, come to that later. If they can actually acquire that funding, they can actually have a home. There are lots of stipulations here, guys, but what I'm wanting you to see is that social programs can actually support the building of the building of a community. Okay, they can actually help you sustain your community and sustain your housing security. So Section 8 also offers remodeling assistance or rehabilitation assistance. They also do construction. They do voucher programs. There's a lot more to these programs than you're really able to see until you actually look deeper into them. And then it's so much there. But everyone gets stuck on the stigma. Guys, write this down. Where there is stigma, there's opportunity. Where there is stigma, there is opportunity. We hear it all the time about stigmatized properties, but we are not talking about stigmatized populations because we feel guilty about that. We feel guilty that we ignore them. So if we continue to ignore them and thus continue to stigmatize those populations, we can keep bearing our head in the sand and that their problem only gets worse. But if we look up and say, oh, there is a problem here. Oh, there are solutions. Well, why aren't we talking about them? The government's trying to get us to talk about them. It's trying to give us programs and grants and funding resources to address these stigmatized issues. But we cannot think like a traditional capitalist. You have to think as an impact investor, a socially conscious real estate investor, housing provider. Okay, you have to be mindful. I'm going to move on to the next part of this because this is going to make sense. Now, when you are looking at the properties you're trying to buy, the government gives the money to the states give it to their local governments actually put out the grants and the different voucher programs. Okay. Now you need to go and identify the requirements to become one of their housing providers. Okay. Now that is something Mignon can talk about. Mignon, can you talk about becoming qualified to be one of the housing providers?
Yes. And so you have two avenues. One, in being on the nonprofit side, the other on the for-profit, because housing is like, or the lack of housing is an epidemic right now. HUD is bending over backwards to get partners to come in to be able to offer affordable units for the general public. And so as an agency, you can go through and applying for the grants. And so take for instance, my government contract is at the state level, but your state level offices are also having to apply for grants at the federal level, right? So we're all on the even playing field when it comes to that. So that those funds come down. Anything dealing with housing is going to come from HUD. And so when that money comes down, we will put out the RFPs for agencies to then apply for to be the boots on the ground as far as providing housing referrals or whatever to the public that are within the homeless population. The second part of that is going to be on the for-profit side, where you can be a housing referral agency where you partner up with the actual nonprofits that need to place their homeless population in a unit. And so you're able to refer, whether they're your units or if you're doing partnerships with other property management companies or private landlords. And at that rate, they would do it at the market retail rental amount. And then HUD is aware that the amounts have rose over the past 2 years because the hedge funds companies have come in and driven up the rental rate in the market, and they're actually trying to do some adjustments right now, or at least That's what our
Mhm.
meetings and stuff have been about.
Thank God.
But yeah, those are the two avenues.
So Mignon just said several things I want to touch on. So you guys have this in your mind. So write these topics down because Mignon, that was beautifully stated. One, all these housing voucher programs come from HUD. So if you're not following HUD on your social media and you want to be in real estate, you're missing a huge opportunity. You need to know what's going on. Like, you should all be following HUD. All of us. Be on their newsletters. Be engaged. Guys, your politicians are civil servants. They work for you. Stop running away from them. Start looking at what they're doing and holding them accountable. We have to remind them that they are civil servants. Your tax dollars are paying their salary, which means you have a right to talk to them, right? So if all the money is coming from HUD for these housing voucher programs that are coming down to your state civil servants and your county civil servants and your city civil servants, you get to go and demand to talk to them. Now, don't say it like a mean way. I'm just saying, like, you want to be able to say, hey, they're here to be in collaboration with you, not opposition. Most of us are intimidated by the thought of taxes, or we don't have a very good relationship necessarily with government or the law. So we are a bit intimidated by it. I'm going to tell you, knock it off, because we're not going to make any difference if we act like a bunch of cowards over here. They are our civil servants. It's time to go up there and put them to work. Now, they're going to have this money that comes through based on the HUD guidelines. You're going to say, okay, now let me see those guidelines, blah, blah, blah. Great. Well, you're not going to check each and every one of them. You won't. You can't, right? Not initially. But like Mignon also said, this is for-profit and nonprofits, okay? Nonprofits are social initiatives that are owned by taxpayers, not an individual. For-profit organizations can still help their communities. So they can get things like block grants and other vouchers and other types of programs from having things like apprenticeship programs or intern programs. Or if you're a for-profit company that employs individuals coming out of incarceration, there are various grants out here that the government is trying to give people money to do some good. They really are, just like trying to get people to take it. And people aren't stepping up to the plate. But it's mostly because we don't know how to. I'm going to be very clear. I think it's also because it's poor marketing and we don't know how to step up to the plate, right? So we have to tell each other, hey, let's go do this together. And it's a little less intimidating. Don't you think? If we do this together? So thank you, Kyle. So where I want you guys to think now is whether you're a for-profit or a nonprofit, there's funding out there for you if you're trying to improve your community. Remember that. Remember that. Now, you should, in essence, have both. You don't have to start them at the same time. Be very clear about that. But at some point, you want to have a for-profit and a nonprofit organization that you are running. The way that you're going to start this doesn't matter if you're starting with either entity. I want you to think about what your social focus is going to be. So I think of having a for-impact corporation. That's what I consider myself. I run a for-impact organization. My for-profit side is my brokerage, and my nonprofit side is Sherlock's Homes. I combine those skills and leverage those resources together to create a for-impact organization. The benefit of having both, by the way, and I want you to understand this. Chris, are you still there?
I'm here.
Wonderful. So do you have any rental properties yet, or are you just getting started?
I do not, but I honestly have found someone that has a 3-bedroom, 2-bath that's willing to let me rent it for recovery housing. So they are on board. So I got my house. It should be ready by January, February at the latest. So I'm trying to pedal to the metal, find people to pre-fill the house prior to going live.
That's very exciting. I can help you with some of that. So good job. So
Awesome.
here's my pop quiz for you. During the pandemic, traditional landlords, did they have a hard time getting rent?
I would say, yeah. I mean, my neighbor has a couple, and there was 3 or 4 houses that he said it was just lost rent. They just couldn't pay bills.
Yep. And why was that?
Because they had a fixed income. When you lose
It
your
was the
job, your
pandemic.
fixed
Everyone-
income goes
yeah.
to nothing. Yeah.
They had rental
Yeah.
forgiveness. Like everyone, there was a moratorium on rent. No one had to pay rent during 2020, right?
Yeah.
So the landlords
Yeah.
still had their bills, but they couldn't get rent. So as a for-profit business, that sucks. It really does. But you know what's interesting? The landlords that actually had a government program in their home, like Section 8, they didn't miss a month. They got paid every single month from the government, like clockwork. So if you want to be a savvy investor, you need to have some of your portfolio backed by government contracts. Would you not agree, Mignon?
Absolutely. And one other thing, even if you're not a recipient of a voucher, you have the USDA loan product that is backed by HUD, which is also a subsidy. So those are for low income households. You can make, $10 to $15 an hour. You can receive food stamps. You can receive Social Security. Like that loan product is for you, and they will still pay 70%, and you're only responsible for 30%. So it works the same way as the vouchers, because again, all of it comes from HUD.
So these are important things to hear, because as Mignon is speaking, I want you to understand that if you are in that situation, here, it's one of two things, guys. You're either in that situation or you know someone who has been in that situation or is in that situation, okay? Do you think they've got time to go and find this knowledge out? Do you think someone who is struggling and having a hard time just making ends meet, figuring out how they're going to take the bus from work to the bank to cash their paycheck before the bank closes without calling in sick, hopefully getting home in time to feed their kid that they may have, which their family may be on food stamps and they are exhausted all the time. And then when they get home, they have no energy. Do you think that person is going to even have the brain power to, even if they knew to ask these questions, that they'd have the brain power to go and actually comprehend the knowledge that's out there? To say like, hey, this information is here to change your family's trajectory. This can change the cycle of poverty for you and your family. Let's use it. But they have no energy left to understand how to leverage that. I want you to understand that this is a problem. And the problem is not housing. The problem is lack of compassion. We're not using our compassion as society to go and educate each other on what these opportunities are out there. And I will tell you what's really sad for me is I know I'm a white male, and with that comes benefits. Every one of us has their own strength and benefit based on where we are. But being white male in America, I know I have certain benefits that Mignon may not have. But what I do is I found some of this knowledge that I was very lucky to find, and I share it with her. You know what she does? She shares her knowledge back with me. And because of that, we're able to collaborate. And as we collaborate, we're able to come up with other solutions. And then we disseminate that information across our communities, and we try to use real estate as the vehicle for social change. If you like all that sounds, I want you to put some gems in that chat. I want to see it blowing up, and it better look like a treasure box over here. Mignon, how you feeling, honey?
Great.
But it's true, right? We've talked about this before.
Mm-hmm.
And we can work together to get this information out there.
Yes, that's the goal.
Mm-hmm. So if we can use housing as a vehicle for social change by showing people who have low income to very low income how they can acquire a house, well, that's great. But does that mean you're mentally equipped to be a homeowner? Anyone?
No, because there is a lot that comes along with that. It's much different than being a renter as far as your responsibilities are concerned.
But Mignon, is there something we can do about that? If we are trying to get these people to become homeowners when they are on social programs that they can't get off of, or so they think. Is there something we can do to make them prepared to be homeowners?
Absolutely.
Oh my. And what are some of those things we can do?
Well, in one, doing the wraparound services and making sure that they are aware of what is actually going on and things in ways that can benefit them in being a homeowner and getting the word out there. So.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yay. I'm so glad you guys are actually participating. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Anissa and Kenyona. Cindy, thank you, guys. And Jose, welcome. Glad to see you. So there are, by the way, so what Mignon's saying, there are different programs that are out there. So let's say that you are a for-profit organization, like Rose was on here earlier. And I know, Mignon, you do something very similar, and I'm going to have you talk about your class coming up here in a second. Let's say that you come up with a program that actually teaches financial literacy to these individuals who are low income that want to ultimately become homeowners. Could you create a program, and could it be supported through grant dollars as a for-profit?
Yes.
Asterisk, asterisk, asterisk. Go on.
It wouldn't be, it would have to be a combination, but yes, because I currently do that for nonprofit agencies that will bring me in to teach their staff financial literacy so they can hold those courses in-house instead of outsourcing it to a person like me. And that's just because of the fee on how much it would cost. It's more beneficial for them to bring me in and train their staff on what to do and how to do it with servicing the homeless population. But yes, that is something that grant dollars are used on in teaching the public.
It takes collaboration. It takes collaboration. But yes, you can, right? Because nonprofits still hire professionals. So nonprofit can hire a for-profit to actually help them implement their program, right? So that's what we have to, right? Thank you, Kyle. That's what people have to do. They have to say, oh, well, you are a credit expert. I have this grant for financial education. I need a credit expert on my team. So I'm going to pay you to help my program. See what we're doing? So it becomes part of it's part of that overall government contracting picture, which we talk about, okay? Nil, welcome to the stage. How are you?
I am great. Thank you so much for having me on stage. Yes. How is everyone doing this fine afternoon?
We are doing great, my friend. Do you have a question?
I really didn't have a question. I was just literally listening in and just, I loved the conversation. So I was like, hey, you know what? Let me go up on stage, and any way that I can assist or add value to you guys' conversation, I'll be much obliged to do so.
Why, thank you. We're glad to have you, and thank you for being a participant. So I'm going to go on a little bit more because I want to make sure I'm respectful of everyone's time. It's almost 1:45. I want to try to keep it to that because we want to do these every week. I try to do them on Wednesdays for an hour. And the whole point of my discussion at noon is to start inspiring people to do something bigger with their investing, asking these questions, looking at resources that you may not know are available to you, giving you just enough insight to be curious and go find some of these resources. Yes. Now, I also host a call at 7 p.m. on Wednesdays, and they're small, they're private, so you have to sign up in advance. And I focus those trainings based on who's in the room. So for tonight, I have 6 people, I believe, and we are focused on how impact investing works with landlords. So it's how they can, different types of tenant rights that are out there, how to work with a nonprofit as a tenant, different housing programs. We're going to go over those things, and I'm giving it to that group because that's who they are. So the more of these I do, the more information we go, the bigger this ecosystem gets. So if you're interested in learning more about our Wednesday evening calls at 7, please let me know. I'm going to put that up here in a second so people can go ahead and register. But what I'd also like you to do is I'd like you to listen to Mignon. Mignon, you got a course coming up, do you not? You got a workshop?
Yes, this will be the last one for this year. It's actually what I call a quick fire session because I don't have any other individual consultation slots open until January. And so it's centered around housing the homeless. Yes.
Ooh. And when's that going to be?
Hold on, let me look at the 19th.
The 19th?
Sorry, the 18th of December. Mm-hmm.
The 18th of December?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So where can they find that?
They will have to back channel me. They can back channel me the word Jacob. So I'll know that they came from your class, from your room, I'm sorry. And then I will send them an actual link to get signed up.
Fantastic. Guys, I really recommend, I'm going to be in that class with her because I love supporting her. She, by the way, is one of my favorite gems that I found on this app. So when HUD gives the money, she's the one that gives it to the nonprofits. So she's the middle woman. Okay. She knows what you need to do to get the money. So that's what we do. So I work with her to get the money. So it's great. You want to talk to her, take her class. Okay. Now I've also pinned to the top of the room here in Clubhouse the registration for tonight's class at 7:00. Melanie will put that in the chat on Zoom. So if you guys want to take it, you certainly can. And just go ahead and sign up because I want to make sure you guys get the knowledge out there. I'm also teaching courses. I teach courses called Homes with Heart. I'm starting my wait list for January 2023 so that people can learn how to identify the population that you want to serve. You don't just go into thinking, oh, I want to help foster kids. That's great. But who you want to serve and who will receive your help are two different things. Okay. And it's going to be more helpful if you understand what the community wants to serve, and then you help the community achieve its goal. And there's a difference in approach here, and I'll talk about that and why it helps. I talk about how to buy real estate for social houses. I talk about how the different government programs for housing out there that aren't just housing vouchers, but things like community land trusts that are actually out there with land banks, and how nonprofits get access to things like foreclosures before they go to auction. There are so many things that you get advantage that you can take advantage of as a nonprofit because you're dealing with public dollars the same way that these government entities are dealing with public dollars. So you have to learn how to leverage these things together. So I have a course I teach on this. I'm doing the wait list. If you're interested in that, let me know. But before you can join the wait list or anything like that, you've got to come to some of my classes because I want to make sure you at least have a foundation, because I can't go back and talk about the basics all the time. So we're trying to get something out there. I want you guys to be more familiar with it. Do me a favor and be here next week at 12:45 again. I'm going to do another training. They're all different every time. And you can either join us here on Clubhouse or you can join me on Zoom. I try to have slides ready, but as we see, I don't really get to go by them so much, but they are pretty, aren't they? Mm-hmm. But there are a couple things I'm going to give you guys the ability to do now. One, go to jacob10k.com if you want to be able to reach out to me. That's jacob10k.com. You can reach out to me there. Please follow us on social media. Sherlock's Homes is doing our best to change the world, and we can't do it by ourselves. So if you follow us on social media, Facebook or Instagram, we would love to have your support. And if you find any of this helpful, please make a donation. Your donations literally help us keep the lights on and save lives, keeping them off the streets and helping to get them on their feet. And I, again, cannot thank you enough for spending this hour with me. I know your time is valuable, and we won't be able to do this without each other. So thank you for being a part of the solution, because we're either going to be a part of the solution or remain a part of the problem. So Mignon, would you like to tell everybody how they get a hold of you real quick?
Sure. Like I said, my handle is the same, Miss Mignon Lee on Clubhouse and Instagram. Again, you can back channel me if you're interested in the housing the homeless quick fire session that is going to be held. It is at a very low rate compared to what I charge for individual consultations, which start at $500 an hour. However, you will walk away with a good strategy in getting funding for your organization moving forward. So just back channel me, like I said, the word Jacob, to get into my ecosystem, and we'll go from there.
I love when people name drop me just to name drop me. That's great. That's awesome. Right in front of is great. Just use the word Jacob. That's me. Just be very clear. There we go. All right. And if you guys have any questions about your housing, if you are a nonprofit, you want to get started, or if you're trying to add a social cause to your housing mission, please reach out and let me know how I can help you. And Nil, thank you for joining us on stage. Thank you, everybody who is participating in the chat. I'm really glad you're here. We will continue the conversation next Wednesday. And if you want to join us Wednesday evening at 7 next week, go ahead, fill out the registration. I'd love to talk to you more. That is a closed call, so it's much more intimate, and we get to cover some things more in depth, all right? Thank you guys so much. Mwah! And I will talk to you. Thank you, See That I Wealth. You guys are amazing. Jacob, how do you sign up for my wait list? Wonderful question. Melanie, do you hear me? She might have stepped off. I will send you that, Jermaine. I will put the wait list is actually on jacobtinK.com, but I will send you the wait list information in the back channel, okay? Perfect. All right, thank you guys so much. I will talk to you next week. Don't forget, you are fabulous. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
I know how to close these things, I think. How do I end this room? There we go. Whew. That didn't go according to plan, but it went very, very well. I'll take it.